Welcome to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, or you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Hello, my friends. How are you? I am so sorry for this voice that I have. I think I might have been talking too much over the last 3 weeks with a summit and a retreat and all the good things, but I am doing amazing. How are you? How was your week? What did you accomplish? Did you move your projects forward? Did you do what you said you were going to do? Did you take time to be grateful and find the beauty in your days? Have you thought about your wins? And if you didn't, let me ask you a question. Did you set up your week in order to do so? And if not, can you commit to doing your Sunday set this week? I truly think it is the single most important thing that you can do to live with intention and meaning. Make progress on your life and not just go through the motions, working on everyone else's life and feeling unfulfilled in your own. So can you take this Sunday or Saturday, whatever day is best for you, and map out what your projects are, how you want to finish this week, and delegate these tasks, 3 every single day, to block time in your schedule and start moving the needle on the goals that you have for yourself, on the projects that you have for yourself. If you just keep button up to another Monday without any plan, it's really hard to finish the week strong, let alone start that next week with any sort of momentum. So if you would do that one little thing for me, I would love it. But today, I want to talk about difficult conversations. How many times have you worried obsessively about a conversation that you felt was going to be difficult? Maybe it was a conversation with your boss, or maybe another employee, or maybe it was with your husband or your wife, and you worried about it for hours, for days, for weeks. Heck, you still might be worried about it years later. How many still have a conversation that they want to have, but just haven't had it for whatever reason? I think if we're being honest, most of us have at least one, if not 2, conversations that we would like to have, but for whatever reason, we haven't. I want to start by offering up a couple of reasons why we might not have had that difficult conversations. And then I'm going to give you some tools on how to have it, okay? But let's start with the reason why we're not having it. And maybe one of these relate to the reason why you're not having your conversation. We don't know how it will go, okay? That's one of the main reasons why people will talk to me about a conversation that they might want to have with a significant other or their kid or their boss. And I ask, why haven't you had it? And they're like, Leah, I don't know how it will go. Right? We worry that they will take it wrong. We worry that it will make things worse. We worry that it will do more harm than it will do good. All the needless worry, think about our logical reasoning. We don't know how the conversation will go, so we don't have the conversation. But by not having the conversation, we will for sure not know how the conversation will go, right? How logical is that? We worry that they will take it wrong. How they take it, my friends, is absolutely none of your business. However, how we show up and deliver the conversation is. We worry that it will make things worse. This is the one that I struggle with the most still. As a former people pleaser, tendencies to just let things be feels right. But if I'm 100% honest, am I making a huge assumption that they feel right about it? And am I discounting my not feeling right about it? I mean, if you are considering a conversation and you are worried about having it, there's most likely something that doesn't feel right about it to you. The worst thing that can happen is that we have the conversation and there's more work that we need to do in order to get to a place of connection, curiosity, and love. Oh boy, pretty scary. No? Right? That's it. The only thing that can happen is if we have a conversation that maybe doesn't go as well as we thought, there's just more opportunity for connection, curiosity, and love. Okay? That's the worst thing that can happen. The other reason why we don't have the conversation is we don't think that they are deserving of the conversation, right? They wronged us. They should be the one that has the conversation with us. They should be the one that reaches out to us and apologizes for what they did or for what they didn't do and why and what they continue to do. Because you know what? You don't tell them. What if instead of thinking about a conversation about what other people are deserving of, we think about what we are deserving of? Are we deserving of having a conversation about what is on our heart? What is in our head? Do we not deserve freedom from saying our piece? And I mean peace. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes when I give you a simple framework for having a difficult conversation. But if we were to assume that we are deserving of the conversation, that the conversation would create opportunities for self-discovery and awareness, that every time we share our opinion, our perspective, we honor our truth, our voice, our mattering. And well, on the flip side of that, every time we don't honor that we have thoughts, that we have opinions, that we have perspective, and we rob the world of our insight. And the more you discount the conversation, you discount your impact, you dismiss the possibility of deeper connection, deeper meaning, both with yourself and the other person. What if we were to encourage difficult conversations as a way to truly connect? It is really easy to have conversations that are lighthearted and simple, perhaps even superficial. But could we challenge our own growth by exploring the depth of real, honest conversations? Like ones that might butt up against somebody else's beliefs. And we do it on purpose to explore maybe what their belief system is and what our belief system is. So I want to share with you a simple framework for having a difficult conversation and, more importantly, an invitation to have them. I promise you, just like with anything else, the more you practice, the more freedom you feel, the less bitter, the less resentment, the most blameful you will feel. Okay? So first, please, we need to quit calling them difficult conversations. There's no such thing. There is a conversation that you have, and whether or not you think or perceive it will be difficult is completely optional. Can we just say we're going to share our opinion, our heart with another human? Instead of suggesting that I'm going to give her, him, a piece of my mind, can we offer them peace from our heart? Instead of suggesting that I'm going to confront her or him, can we suggest that we are going to meet them where they are? They have zero clue of your perspective. Let's face it. We barely understand our own perspective. How could they know? This other human has the same inadequacies as you. They are 50% awesome, and they're 50% on their becoming journey, which means that they haven't figured it out perfectly either. I 100% know that if you go into thinking that it will be difficult, it will be. Rather, it is simply sentences, thoughts, not facts, exchanged between you and another human. Why do we make it so difficult? I think it's difficult only because it's unfamiliar. We are not very great or practiced at having real, honest conversations. We tiptoe, we pretend, we placate, we walk around on eggshells to keep peace. But then we secretly are disgusted and we're resentful. How is that peace? The second thing that I want you to consider, once we've dropped this notion that it's a difficult conversation, because it isn't, is we need to start the conversation with ourselves. Okay? That looks a lot like, Leah, what do you want to say? How can you say it with love for you? How can you say it with love for them? How can you say it with love for both of you? What if you were wrong about it all? What else could be true? And I don't mean wrong. I don't mean wrong in your thoughts and your feelings, all valid. But what if I'm wrong about the situation? What if I gave the situation wrong meaning? What if there was something else available for me to consider? What would it be? Here's the thing. There most likely will be a different perspective. And here's what else. Just because there's a different perspective, you don't have to choose it. I just know for me, at least having multiple options to choose from helps to loosen my tightly held conviction that my perspective is not only true, but right. I love thinking about it like this. My perspective is right, and so is everyone else's. It is true to me only because it feels true, because I believe it to be true. But so does everybody else's perspective. So does everybody else's perspective that they feel is right. They've just thought it enough that they believe it to be true. And the middle is found when you hold space and grace for honoring your truth and honoring their truth. And when you can get to a place of genuine curiosity with how someone else is thinking, choosing what they say, do, not do, you can have the conversation from love and not judgment. How might that change the way you show up in your conversation? Think about it. Think about the conversation or conversations that you wanted to have, but you didn't? What would it look like if instead of labeling it difficult, tough, you just labeled it, what would a loving conversation look like here? One where both people were worthy, one where both people were human beings, not robots. And then you approach the conversation with the entire truth. The entire truth, the whole truth has more words. The whole truth might very well start off with, I didn't know to have this conversation. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a really, really, really long time. And I've been scared to have it because I didn't want to make it worse for us. I didn't want to hurt our relationship. I didn't want you to be mad at me. I didn't want you to be angry, disappointed, fill in the blank. For those of us that have been holding on to a conversation for far too long now, the whole truth might look like this. I've not wanted to have this conversation. And the more time that has gone by, the harder it's been to have it. But yet, I think about it often. And I have no idea how it will be received. But I guess I have no idea how it will be received if I never give it a chance to be received. And if you didn't need to be right, what does that conversation look like with yourself? For so many of us, we miss this step. And when we do, we assume that if we are right, they must be wrong. And we go into the conversation confrontationally, defensively, and stubborn. Like we go into it giving them a piece of our mind instead of a piece with peace, Peace, of our heart. And then guess what, my friends? It will prove to be a difficult conversation. And we will have more proof that when we say what we think, share how we feel, that it falls on deaf ears, that it is not received the way we wanted. And it will no doubt be difficult. Here's a couple things to consider. Whether or not our conversation falls on deaf ears, whether or not it is received the way we want, is 100% not our business. If it is, we have to clean up the reason why we're having the conversation in the first place. If we're wanting to have the conversation, to be heard, to be validated, to sway them to our side, to prove them wrong, it will be difficult. If we're having the conversation to convince them that what they did was wrong and have them come over to our side, it's going to be difficult. You don't need validated. You don't need to be heard. Yes, it's nice. I get it. Required? No. You have to validate you by having the conversation. You have to share it so that you are not deaf to it yourself. How can you expect somebody else to be all ears with a conversation that you're not even willing to share for your own? Once you clean up your reasons, once you're not having the conversation to point fingers, to tell them all the reasons that they should not have done what they did, all the reasons that they shouldn't have done what they did, what they said, how they showed up, and explore curiously, what was going on for them? Help them help you understand their perspective. Remember, you don't have to choose their perspective. You do have to accept it. All stress comes from non-acceptance. Maybe 99%. And the last little bit of this framework, friends, have the conversation. That's it. Have it compassionately, curiously, confidently. You don't need to apologize for how you think and feel. You don't. The only thing that you have to do is just have the conversation. That's it. But first, you've got to stop labeling it as difficult. It's not. It's a conversation with two incredible, amazing human beings that half of the time they get it right and the other half they don't. And when you can tap in and accept that, it is so freeing, not just to the people that you're giving grace and compassion to, but to yourself. When you can first have the conversation with yourself before you start reacting and get in and showing up in armor, ready to give that person a piece of your mind, you need to share with yourself what's on your mind. Why is it that you believe that they wronged you by what they did and what they said? You got to clean it up. You've got to be willing to be wrong about what it is and what meaning you gave to whatever it is that they said, to whatever it is that they did. Because when we don't, we give them too much credit. Most of the time, the things that people say and the things that people do have nothing to do with you. They don't. And so the work that you get to do is clean up the meaning you gave it. Because most likely the meaning you gave it is just more judgment. And so then what ends up happening is that we end up judging them for judging us. And I get it. Not everybody does this work, but you do. You're here. You're listening to me, although I know it sounds awful and I apologize. My producer is fabulous, but I don't know if there's anything he can do with this. But you're still here. And if you're still listening to this, I thank you. Because it takes doing this work to have a ripple effect, a societal, a community, a world impact. Because if all we do is operate from conditioned programming, to point fingers, to blame, to ruminate, to talk and to feel as if we have been wronged, as if everybody is out to get us, we will just continually push other people away and divide our churches, our schools, our families more than we already have. This work is available for all of us. And if you know anyone that struggles with this life, share them this podcast. Share them hope. Share them opportunities to be empowered. Share them tools and frameworks and strategies on how to think, because there's no thinking school, my friends. Share with them how to feel. There's no feeling school. We're not taught how to think. We're not taught how to feel, and we're not taught how to have difficult conversations. So, first and foremost, no such thing. It's just a conversation. Secondly, you got to start with you. Have that conversation with you. And when and only when you can get to love for you, love for them, love for us, can you then have the conversation curiously, compassionately. The entire truth is important. It just requires more words. It's not about what they should have done. It isn't. How are you showing up? What should you do? I promise if you have those conversations, you will feel good about the conversation. Whether or not they feel good about it, how they take it, none of their business. The only thing that's your business is how you show up in the conversation, and I want you to love it. So if you want to know how to love having difficult conversations, better. If you want to explore more about how do I think, how do I feel, how do I show up being the best of who it is that I am, I want to invite you to a Clutter Free in 3 master's program that we're having. We're cleaning all of it up. We're cleaning house. And there's no better time to clean house than with the start of a brand new year. So if you know anybody that you're like, dang, I want to get intentional about how I show up in my life, how I think, how I feel, get on track with my behaviors, be committed, be dedicated, get better organized, have better time management, love more, have more fun. Like if these are things that you're committed to doing in 2023 and you want accountability and you want a group of people that believe in the possibility of your awesomeness, please check it out. You can go to www.leahrowling.com, get on the wait list, and get enrolled in this very transformational program. This is the work that quite literally saved my life. The very best of my life was buried underneath all of my cluttered thinking, all of my unfelt feelings, because I just find away my life, buried under behaviors that buffered so I didn't have to feel, over shopping, over running, over spending, over consuming, over all of it. Being distracted and doubt and delay because I didn't have good productivity and time management skills. And it freed me up for the very most important thing that we will ever have in this lifetime. And that is love. And that is love for ourselves and love for the people in our life. So if you want that, I invite you to join us in this program coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Until then, have just an incredible next couple of weeks. Feel Christmas, feel the holiday, feel the month, and crush the end of the year, my beautiful friends. Have just an incredible one, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahrowling.com.